Compared to Skyrim, how are they? Because again, I don't know Witcher 3. Which is the bigger...
Have I shared my view about Skyrim?
Go ahead.
I hate it.
Really? I thought you really liked Skyrim for a while.
Hate Skyrim.
Whoa. Hot takes.
Oh my gosh.
Abound. Welcome back to Digitally Distracted. I am Game Dave.
I'm Gerald.
And we've got another episode for you. And we've got one more episode coming after this, which will sort of cinch Season 1. But we'll talk more about that at the end of this episode. Because for now, episode 19, we're going to be talking about our favorite video games of all time. But also why they are our favorite video games, which might open up sort of, what our video game interests are. Mm-hmm. Sort of like when we did the episode talking about video game genres and sort of what our favorite genres were or what the best genre was. I think that's all going to kind of coincide and come together. But to start off, to kick it off, you said something just a bit ago that I think would be a great starting point. And this is a debate that has been had on many different formats, including another podcast that I guested on long ago, the Let's Get podcast. And on that podcast, they were talking about this sort of versus situation. Which is the better game, Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World? Because those seem to be like the two of the best classic Super Mario games.
Right.
And there are these two camps. There's these Super Mario Brothers 3 diehards and these Super Mario World diehards. And you just mentioned, because we're talking about favorite games, we're going to go through several. And we can't think of every favorite game, because, I mean, there's probably 50 games that I would say are my favorite games of all time. But you can only think of so many off the cuff.
Right.
Because it's a thing of, is a favorite game just a game you really, really like? Does it make it a favorite game because you spent the most time playing it?
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. Also, Dave just told me the topic literally 2 minutes before we started shooting.
I'm very nice about doing that for Gerald.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of scrambling in the back of my mind right now trying to...
favorite games. Well, that's good. So yours will be very much gut reaction. Mm-hmm. These are my favorite games. Like, if off the top of your head, favorites. Mine, a little bit more thought. Like an extra hour or two.
Right.
Of thoughts. But you said Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yes.
Definitely a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And I am in the camp of Super Mario World, which is on my list. Super Mario World, by far, my favorite Mario game in the main platforming style of all time. Super Mario World, by far, my favorite. They just added so many things I like. Why do you like Super Mario Brothers 3 so much?
You know, I think that was really the first game for me that was just super polished.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of the pinnacle of what the NES could do in a platforming game like that.
Yeah. And it really opened up to, in my mind, what consoles were really able to accomplish, and what video games actually could really accomplish.
Because you had the world map.
Right.
That sort of overworld. You had, several worlds.
Yep.
You had all the tricks and Easter eggs and secrets and the flute to skip through the worlds. There was a lot going on.
It was.
In Super Mario Brothers 3. Graphically pretty good too.
And I think that's for me, World was pretty good too though.
Yeah, World, Super Nintendo, so much different style.
And that's why I could definitely see where you're coming from, where even though it's a different style, and I think that's kind of why I feel like it's sort of out of place in the IP. It feels out of place to me.
Super Mario World?
Yeah.
Now that I feel like that's a statement that they made on the Let's Get podcast episode where they were kind of talking about it more. It's sort of an ongoing thing on their show where they always ask their guests, all right, Super Mario World or Super Mario Brothers 3? Mm-hmm. And it could also be the nostalgia factor too, because I probably Well, I don't know. It can't be the nostalgia factor for me because I remember getting Super Mario Brothers 3 because that was one of the few NES games that I remember getting purchasing brand new.
Yeah, me too. And really looking forward to it. Like
Yeah.
it was one of the first where I knew it was coming out. Like I
Yeah.
knew it was coming, looking forward to it and have that anticipation.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember buying it new. I don't know if I was aware that it was coming as much because I was, a little younger. But I remember we went to Toys R Us. That's where we picked it up. We got the little slip out.
Yeah.
Went to the back. They brought out the box. I remember that bright yellow box, which was just like, yeah. You didn't see a lot of games in a bright yellow box. It was a very specific yellow.
Yeah.
And just Mario in the raccoon suit just on the front. And I was upset because we couldn't go right home to try it. We had to go to my great-grandmother's house. So we had to drive all the way to her house, which was way far away from where we lived. And I'm just sitting in the back with this game and no way to play it. So I'm like ripping it open, literally ripping it open because we didn't care about the boxes. Looking at the manual, looking at the cartridge, just super pumped to play it when I eventually got home. And I spent a lot of time playing Super Mario Brothers 3. And just, I would say I'm pretty good at Super Mario Brothers 3. It's not the hardest game in the world, which I think is what is appealing about Super Mario games, is that they're not like impossible to beat. They're a little more forgiving than a lot of other platformers, and but that also says a lot about the controls because the controls are so tight, everything feels right. You never, like, if you die, it was your fault in a Super Mario game. You're never like, oh, well, the controls weren't so, the jump is laggy.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that thought.
Yeah, because Super Mario just has such a solid, everything's so tight, it's like, it's on you. If you jumped into a pit, that's on you. But for me, Super Mario World, it just, talk about polish, I think it brought Mario into this new look where it's like, okay, this is what Mario is supposed to look like. Now, that cover of Super Mario Brothers 3 is super iconic, the drawing of Mario, but the sprite, to me, does not look at all like that art on the front of Super Mario Brothers 3, which is why, for me, Super Mario World, it's a way closer. I have some sprites decorating my console shelves over there, and it just looks like Mario.
Yeah.
And those are the sprites from the game.
Yeah, you're right.
That's just him. But as opposed to the sort of the more pudgy, it's just different in Super Mario Brothers 3. And of course, they didn't have the graphical ability to go that crazy, but it just felt more iconic to me. So finally, like, locking down that version of the characters that has become more iconic, and like the color schemes and things like that. Super Mario World, you got the introduction of Yoshi, who's gone on to have his own games.
Right.
So, you can't fight that. And one of my favorite power-ups of all time is the cape, which some may say, oh, that's just a knockoff of the raccoon suit from Super Mario Brothers 3. But, the cape just makes more sense to me. The flight, you can do sort of the belly flopping in the air infinitely, which is nice, whereas you're more limited with the raccoon suit.
Right.
And it takes some mastering to get that so that you can fly in the air forever. Yeah, the keys, finding all the secrets and all the different entrances. The world map was just expanded upon. I think they took everything in Super Mario Brothers 3 and like, oh, we're going to take this and we're going to make it super on the Super Nintendo. And I think they fully accomplished that. I don't think there's anything wrong with Super Mario World. It's good. I can replay that. Much easier for me to pick up and play Super Mario World than 3.
I can see that. No. I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, because there's little things you can do, but you kind of just... The way that Super Mario World is, where the world is connected in this big map that slowly reveals itself instead of everything being separated into different worlds. It's kind of funny that Super Mario Brothers 3 has different worlds, and then Super Mario World is just one map.
Right.
It's kind of interesting because it's Dinosaur Land.
Right.
It's technically where you are. So it's kind of interesting in that way that I just like that you're slowly revealing, it's, oh, you're moving up into the next zone, but it's still this huge interconnected map. Instead of, oh, you go down, you beat this castle, and then you teleport to this next world, and you're in a new world. That appealed to me with
World. No, I
can
appreciate that, absolutely.
Yeah, and then, you have the different colored Yoshis, which would have different power-ups, and I just think it was, being able to save those extra power-ups, which, it's just... It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Super Mario World is my favorite. Super Mario Brothers 3, probably your favorite classic Mario game?
Yeah.
So even then. Any other things as to why Super Mario Brothers 3 just inches it out for you?
You know, like I said, it was sort of the
Just seeing the pinnacle of the
the
NES.
pinnacle, yeah.
So I wonder if a Super Mario World type game had come out at the end of the Super Nintendo's life cycle, that might have been the game.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got that. I mean, you had Yoshi's Island, which I'll just talk about now because that's also on my list. Yoshi's Island, which is technically Super Mario World 2, just starring Yoshi and Baby Mario in a way, sort of the prequel game. And that just sort of expanded on, just the secret hideouts. Now, they didn't have the cool connected world, which sort of puts it lower on the list for me than Super Mario World because you went through sort of like chapters. And it was like stage 1-1, stage 1-2. It wasn't separated into this cool world the same way. You kind of moved around in a world, but the main menu didn't really have this world view to it. And it had these cool little mini games, which was nice. I don't know if you played Yoshi's Island, but it's a pretty solid game. Except for the crying baby Mario, which is very irritating. You got to deal with crying baby Mario. But it's a good game. It's very groovy, very like psychedelic style. Has that storybook sort of look. It's a good follow up. Very different though than Super Mario World in the style. A lot to say about Super Mario World. Now we've got the Super Marios talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Give me another game.
Well, I think probably Zelda.
Okay, which Zelda though?
Probably the first one.
Okay, so the original Legend of Zelda on the NES.
Yeah, the original, just because that was the beginning of, I feel like these RPGs, and sort of that sort of open world kind of.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, here, take this. It's dangerous to go alone.
Yeah.
Get out there and start exploring.
Yep.
I could see that. Now, the original Legend of Zelda I did not play until after I played Link to the Past on Super Nintendo, which is not one of my favorite games of all time. Sorry, I'm not a Zelda boy. I'm not going to act like I am. Everybody's supposed to like Zelda. Sorry, I don't love Zelda. It's fine. Link to the Past is probably my favorite Zelda game, but it is not one of my top games. I don't look forward to going back and replaying that game. It's a great experience, but it's not something I'm in love with. Similar with like Star Fox. Like Star Fox is fun to pick up and play. I had it as a kid, but it wasn't a game that I was like, ooh, I got to play more of this.
I'm just trying to think like as a designer to come up with Zelda, how you're going to design the game and what it's going to look like. It was very innovative.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, sort of like peel back the curtain and see how they drew out the levels and how they connected things.
That's just so cool to me.
Yeah, Legend of Zelda is a solid one. I'm sure a lot of people are with you on that. Yeah, Link to the Past, I think if I had to choose between Link to the Past, it's just that Super Nintendo polish. But again, Super Nintendo was not a hand-me-down to me. NES was the hand-me-down console. And yeah, it was my first real console experience. But the Super Nintendo, it was like, ooh, I'm going to get one. When I get that Super Nintendo, you best believe. So when I finally got a chance to get it, I think I just loved everything so much. But when I was working on the list, it was really just classic Super Nintendo games that showed up as favorites. Like, if I look, Super Mario World, duh. Yoshi's Island, of course. I also have one here, Pilot Wings, which was a launch title, which I love Pilot Wings. One of my favorites on the Super Nintendo. But it's just Super Mario Kart, which is still probably my favorite Mario Kart game. I'm not very good at the newer Mario Kart games. I was very good. I will say this. I was very good at the original Super Mario Kart. And I just liked the two-player action. I remember playing that game for hours and hours at my buddy's house, because he had a Super Nintendo and I didn't, and I wanted to keep playing it. He's like, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to play anymore. That's how much I love Super Mario Kart. But it's a lot of the classics. And when we get into RPGs, which will be a big favorites list there, some of those are going to come from the Super Nintendo. But for me, it really is just those classic standout titles. And there were a lot of games on the Super Nintendo. There's a lot of hidden gems out there. But that we're talking about favorites right now, just the gut things that we just know. Now, NES, Legend of Zelda, of course, being one of yours. If we talk NES, for me, an adventure game that is probably my favorite would be Kirby's Adventure on the NES, which was my first experience with Kirby. I had not played the original Dreamland game on the Game Boy. I played Kirby's Adventure first, and I fell in love with that game. Just 100%ing it and going into the extra mode just the music, and I mean that's why I reviewed it on the channel. In a way, I reviewed it twice actually, but that's secrets. That's secrets of the old videos. Yeah, if you review it twice, it must be pretty good.
Right.
And from there, I went into Kirby's Dream Land 2 on the Game Boy, and I didn't play the original Kirby on Game Boy until much later, which is when I first discovered that Kirby's ability to copy people's powers was not in the first game, which is crazy to think about. You're so used to, oh yeah, he sucks them in and he copies their power. But in the first game, that wasn't something he could do. He just could suck them in and spit them out, eat them. That was it. So a lot more simplistic gameplay. But it was interesting to go back and see that that was not something that they had in the first game. It was just kind of cool. Most people just assume, oh no, it's Kirby.
Right.
That's what he does. He's known for copying things, copy abilities. Yeah. Bigfoot, another game I reviewed. Most people say it's a really bad game, but it's a monster truck game on the NES, and it has top-down view, 2 players, or you can play by yourself against a computer. It has a top-down view where you're sort of like crunching cars and trying to win the race and collect money on the ground, and you're using that money to advance your career. And then after you do the overhead shot levels, then there's these side view monster truck races where you have to wiggle the D-pad back and forth to move. That's how you accelerate instead of just holding A or something.
Right.
Very not intuitive, and if you don't have the manual, you will not know how to play those sections. I only knew as I got older because I played it all the time at my buddy's house, and then eventually got my own copy, which I played all the time, and then found out, oh, people hate this game. I thought it was awesome. That's one of those. It's those weird. That'd be a good future video topic of games everybody hates that I always loved. Those happen a lot. Deja Vu on the NES is another one that I really like. So Deja Vu was sort of part of this Mac Venture series where they were originally on the computer, and they were point-and-click adventures on the NES. And there was Shadowgate, Deja Vu, and I believe there was another one. Uninvited, I think. I believe so. Yeah, one you're like going through a haunted house. One's more like a medieval fantasy. And then Deja Vu is like a very, like an old school, like crime drama sort of noir setting. And you wake up in, I think you're in a bathroom stall. And you forgot who you were. You've lost your memory. You've got amnesia. You don't recognize your face. And you've got items, and you're sort of in that dungeon crawl POV screen where you can go through and turn left, turn right, go into buildings. And then you have like your cursor, which you use with the D-pad, which isn't the greatest. I mean, it's definitely made for a mouse, and you can select items and use items on, like use the gun and then hit use and then use it on the screen to shoot the thug or whatever. So it's sort of that sort of point-and-click adventure style game with that POV. That was one that my brother and I would play all the time. It had this really creepy atmosphere and really good music. Never beat it. Never beat the game, but really enjoyed what little time I did spend with it as a boy. Any other games that come to mind of your favorites of all time, those gut reaction favorites? Because I've got a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to, more modern games for me.
Hey, I didn't say just retro.
Right. So obviously, I'm not gonna talk about it because I've talked about it enough already. Witcher 3.
Witcher 3. You like Witcher 3? Are you a fan of Witcher 3? That's the only game you've played, right? Witcher 3, huh? A fan of that?
I've actually been playing less video games since I completed that video game because nothing else.
Nothing else can satisfy Gerald the way Witcher 3 did.
Everything else tastes like ash in my mouth. It's just...
Ooh, it tastes like, that tastes like the Avengers. And dusted.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Now, I believe you were scared about the upcoming Netflix series, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm still terrified about it.
Still terrified? Has there been any more info? Because obviously, not a Witcher guy. I don't know what's going on with it.
I've been making a point not to look anything up. Any time that pops up on any kind of feeds that I have, I immediately look away.
So are you just going to watch it when it drops and just binge it?
Yep, that's the plan, and I don't know anything. So
you don't even know when it's going to take place or how old he is?
The only thing that I know about, and I'm bummed that I know about this, but I just know who was cast.
Henry, right?
Yeah.
Superman. Come on, he's super. He's a Superman.
Look, that cast, I really want to be just proven wrong. I hope he does an amazing job.
Hey, it always works when you go from Blockbuster Films to Netflix.
I really nothing would make me happier than to say, wow,
Blown away.
blown away.
Kind of like the Heath Ledger haters.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
oh, wow,
Yes.
he's my favorite jokester.
You know? I mean, but I'm
Because, I mean,
nervous.
I'll say I was not a Heath Ledger fan. I mean, he was a great actor, but he just wasn't in movies that I cared about. When I heard the announcement, I was like, Heath Ledger is the Joker?
Oh my gosh, it's actually a very similar kind of feeling right now that I have. Like,
He may surprise you.
there is no way that I thought Heath Ledger was going to do a good job. I mean, come on.
I figured he'd do like a middling job, but then it's like, but then you got to realize it's Christopher Nolan, so he probably knows what he's doing. But at the initial, and I did the same thing stupidly with Ben Affleck. I did that initial like, oh, come on. And then a couple weeks go by, I was much quicker at realizing, you know what, Ben Affleck might actually knock it out of the park. And he kind of did. Ben Affleck was an awesome Batman. Unfortunately, he was Batman in the current status of DC movies, which are just not, they just don't know what they're doing. And it's just all over the place. It's not smooth and consistent. It doesn't all have a similar feel.
It's
and
a
that's
shame.
Yeah, you got a Joker movie coming out, and it's just all over the place.
And even that Joker movie is more like what, like a character study, right?
That looks like like a thriller drama.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a comic book movie at all.
No.
And I think they've done that on purpose.
No,
They don't want it to. It's like, a trailer is hard to watch. It was like,
it is.
he needs to eat a couple sandwiches or something. He's looking
Man.
a little bony.
Yeah.
Looking bonier than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, really weird. So Witcher 3, you likes it. You likes
do.
it. Now, what 3 things about The Witcher 3, that's what we're going to do 3. What are 3 things about The Witcher 3 that make it probably your favorite game of all time?
Definitely the
Sex appeal?
the character interactions.
Okay.
Like, you genuinely care about a lot of the other characters.
So they don't feel like NPCs.
Right.
You'd never be like, oh, the NPCs in the game. You'd be like, the people in that game.
Right.
So they feel like real people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think a lot of that has to do with the voice work or just the way they've written?
You know, both. Both. The voice work is phenomenal.
Yeah. Why didn't they get them to play their character? They probably don't look the parts.
Well,
Usually voice actors don't look like what you'd expect them to look like.
Sometimes. Didn't the voice actress for Tomb Raider, right? Doesn't she sort of look the part? I forget the actress's name.
I don't know. Maybe.
She was on like Grey's Anatomy or something.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't played Tomb Raider since the PlayStation.
Yeah, but she did a good job.
Yeah.
I thought she did a very good job.
So the characters and the way they sort of come to life, they feel real.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a big part of it. What else? That's one.
The scope of it. It was just, it's huge.
So the open worldness.
Yes.
Compared to Skyrim, how are they? Because again, I don't know.
Look,
Witcher 3. Which is
have
the bigger?
Have I shared my view about Skyrim?
Go ahead.
I hate it.
Really? I thought you really liked Skyrim for a while.
Hate Skyrim.
Whoa. Hot takes.
Oh my gosh.
Abound.
Listen.
Why do you hate Skyrim? I thought you liked Skyrim. Even I thought that. What has changed?
I tried to like it when I got the VR.
Oh, so you hate Skyrim VR?
No.
Okay.
I hate Skyrim. Period. I got the Skyrim VR. They really wanted to like that, and I really thought, man, if I can't get into Skyrim VR, like this is the dream, right? To be able to step into one of these open world kind of RPG, fantasy settings,
just be all in.
And man, I hate the game. It's way overrated, I think. It's just monotonous. You fight the same enemies over and over and over again. The combat, I think, is repetitive. The NPCs, I don't care about them. They use the same voice actors over and over again. Ugh. Hate that game. And
wow.
I
when
did
did
now
didn't you put a ton of time into Skyrim?
I did. Oh my gosh. Loved Oblivion. Loved Elder Scrolls 4.
Okay.
That was a way better game.
What do you think it is? They just pushed Skyrim out too quick, or what? They just didn't felt too different from Oblivion?
Yeah, it's just I don't care. The whole Dragonborn thing. Okay, so it's one of the things that really started for me is you progress. Originally, you start in the game, you're this nobody. You know, everybody's kind of giving you a hard time.
Yeah,
makes sense. It's fine. Then you become the Dragonborn, right? They're still giving you a hard time. Nothing changes.
So there's not enough of an arc for you.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Welcome back to our favorite video games podcast episode,
Right?
where Gerald poops on Skyrim.
Oh my gosh.
That's okay. I mean, that doesn't offend me because I don't prefer Western RPGs anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Skyrim is very much a Western RPG.
And I do. I'm
prefer
not a JRPG fan.
Yeah, that's my preference is JRPGs for sure. Speaking of my favorite game, back to favorites. So Witcher 3. So mine, it's the series, of course, Suikoden.
Mm-hmm.
The Suikoden series is my favorite of all time. There's hands down. And it is because of same number one reason as you. The story and the characters mattered. And it's like, oh, there's 108 player characters to an extent. I mean, recruits in your main crew. And all of them they feel like real people, not just like, oh, this person is, they don't all fit some stereotype, some character stereotype where, oh no, he's just the big buff guy or he's the big, because it's not in this game. It's not a big buff guy. It's Ronnie Bell, who's a big buff girl. They flip it. It's like, no, the big brooding is a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting that they have these, for a 2D sprite-based game on the PlayStation in that era, in the era of what was, Final Fantasy VII becoming huge in these 3D cutscenes and all this stuff. Then you have Suikoden over there with its 2D, like basically some of the, some solid sprite work done. And a lot of people missed out on there. But for me, it's hard to pick between Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2 because Suikoden 2 is the first game I played. And then I went back and played Suikoden 1 and filled in the gap. I was like, that's where he's from. Oh, this is what happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool to see, like, Victor and Flick, which are these classic characters from Suikoden 2. You go back and I got to see, what they were doing before they had this mercenary camp. And I think I have a soft spot for the first game, and for the longest time I've tried to convince myself that that's my favorite. Suikoden 2, I think, is the better game, but Suikoden 1 just has this, and I've described it before as Suikoden 2 is like more polished, despite the translation issues and glitches it has in it. Despite that, it feels more polished, and then Suikoden 1, my comparison would be Suikoden 1 feels like a stop motion. If you were to compare it, like a stop-motion animation. You can see the fingerprints in the work. I've said this many times to many people. And then Suikoden 2 feels like it's a CG film. Like it's just they got it, figured out, they knew what they were doing based on that first one, smoothed out some of the wrinkles, I guess. And you can even see it in the portrait work. If you look at the portraits for the characters when they're speaking in Suikoden 1 compared to the ones in Suikoden 2, you can just see that polish difference. And that's what it always reminds me of, is like stop-motion clay versus an actual CG rendering or something. But Suikoden 2 is such a big, in-depth game. Suikoden 1, you can beat in 20 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Suikoden 2, that's not happening because there is just so much depth to the characters, the 108, and what they can do and what they bring to your headquarters. Whereas Suikoden 1, I will admit, some of the characters that come to your headquarters are just kind of there. Just kind of stand around. Whereas in Suikoden 2, I feels like a lot more of them have something going on in your base after you recruit them. Like the chef. So you would think you recruit a character who's going to become the chef of the headquarters. You're like, he's probably not a playable character even though you recruited him. It's like, nope, he can fight. And not only can he fight, he has a whole separate mini-game storyline that can occur in your base where they do Iron Chef competitions.
Wow.
And every time when you go in, a random chef will come and challenge him to become the greatest chef in the world. And it does this whole Iron Chef minigame every time. There's like 7 or 8 sessions of this minigame that can occur where you'll get 3 random recruits from the 108 that will come in, and they'll be the judges. They do the music and everything, and it's like, all right, here's your ingredients.
That's pretty cool.
These are the recipes you need to make, and you make them, and whoever likes the best, and your goal is to, as the chef, win those sort of Iron Chef tournaments. And it's just so cool. I mean, Iron Chef is in Suikoden 2. That's how good that game is.
Wow.
So I would probably have to say Suikoden 2 is the best of the series. Is it my favorite? We'll see. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But Suikoden 1 has always been at that top tier. Always been at that top tier. So we got our definite top games of all time, right? Witcher 3 is definitely number 1.
Yeah. Well, let me throw a mobile game in there.
Okay.
Okay.
So Witcher, favorite
console
PC game.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And for me, definitely Suikoden or Suikoden 2, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so mobile game, favorite mobile game of all time, could compete with The Witcher 3? Are you telling me a mobile game
Here's the thing.
could compete with Witcher 3?
Not in content, but
Replayability?
in yeah, and just my attention to it. It's I'm a sucker for dice and card games, first of all, like collectible card games,
Right.
and like Yahtzee style, that mechanism with dice where you roll your dice, you keep the ones you want, you re-roll the ones you don't like.
You think Witcher 3 is an amazing game? Wait till you try Yahtzee.
No.
Wait till you see.
But here's
these
the thing.
dice.
So I've mentioned it before.
Convince me.
Aridin Arena that
Yes,
I love.
which I've still not seen.
Here's the thing. I've been playing that game for years.
Yeah, I gotta admit, there's mobile games that I've played for years off and on, and I never. What's funny though is I never feel like I really play it. Like I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get home and play it. Yet I still play them for years. Isn't that weird?
I mean, and I really enjoy it when I play it, and the battles last like maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And
yeah, most are like 2 to 3 minute rounds.
But like,
and then...
listen, I'll get bored with mobile games, and I'll play them hard for a couple months, and I'll be like, you know what, I'm done.
But that's one of the ones that
But this has been around. This is one of the first ones that I really loved, and it's been around for years. I mean,
just can't get away from it.
Yeah, even now, I want to play it right now.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that is weird. I've never been. I mean, though I've played some mobile games for years, there's one I've played for probably 2 or 3 years consistently. It's never been, but I've never thought about it when I wasn't playing. The only time I think about it is when a push notification happens and I'm like,
gotcha.
Oh, yeah. Or I'm looking at some other folder on my phone of apps and I see it. I'm like, oh, well, let me pop in and do a couple battles.
Not me. This game, and I tip my hat to the developers in that they're still, they're constantly supporting it, but they have, like a lot of games, they have their events over the weekend, and it's always in the back of my mind.
Oh, got to do that event.
That I have to
those
play
exclusive
sometime.
Cards.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous.
Well, that's what pissed me off about Animal Crossing.
Right.
Is that it's like, I feel like I can't get everything. And I know they made a huge number of updates to Pocket Camp since I pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can actually have a house now. It's not just a campsite anymore. I believe it's some sort of house or something. But I just can't. It hurt me so bad after putting almost a year into it and doing everything you could.
I get it.
I was like, no, I gotta call it. I was
now,
gonna wait for it on the Switch.
With Aridin Arena, they got a little greedy, which it did turn me off. I stopped
welcome to mobile games,
right?
That's one of the biggest pitfalls.
Yeah, for about 6 months or so, I stopped completely, and then I came back to it, and I'm begrudgingly playing because I really enjoy it. But there was a time when I wouldn't call it necessarily free to play, but you really could if you were grinding enough.
Yeah,
you could get those cards.
But it's a game that you kind of have to pay into to not go crazy.
Well, no, yeah, basically. I mean, even now, like you can still grind, and chances are pretty low you won't get every card before the event ends.
Yeah, see, that's what kind of irritates me about mobile games is I would much rather pay up front and be able to unlock everything than have to, I want to pay a little bit every time there's an event.
Yeah, there's microtransactions.
Because don't call it free to play if I can't play everything for free. Because then it's like, Now, does it have ads or anything on it? There's no ads or anything.
No ads, so that's good.
Well, that's good. It's just you got to buy those gems to unlock an extra card pull or whatever. Yeah. That's the stuff that bothers me about.
But it does speak to how much I enjoy the game because
the fact that you can look past that.
Yeah. I will not pay for a game if I don't really enjoy it. Yeah, absolutely not.
So there's your top 2 for sure. Aridin Arena and Witcher 3. So for me, Suikoden 1 and 2. And man, like I'm looking at my list of like my go-to games, and it's the obvious response for like my second favorite game. The obvious one has to be a Final Fantasy game because as much as I love Suikoden and I prefer it to Final Fantasy in many, many ways, I've spent way more time on the Final Fantasy series because one, there's way more games, and they're much more in depth past the ones of Suikoden, where you have Suikoden 1 and 2, which are like the pinnacle Then you have 3, 4, and 5, which have a very different feel. They moved into 3D. A lot of people like 3. I didn't like 3 at first. A lot of people hate 4. Most people hate 4. I really liked 4. And then 5 is considered a hearkening back to the first 2 games. But they're all PS2. So you have these 2 games on PS1 and these 3 games on PS2. And it's sort of like very self-contained. Whereas you had 3 amazing main entry Final Fantasy games on the PlayStation. And then you had 10 on the PS2, which was fine. Then you have 10-2, which was what? And then from there, I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know? Then it goes to the PS3. So it made a huge jump so quickly for me. And now if you really want to go back with Final Fantasy, the original, you have NES, and then nothing until the Super Nintendo. And then for us, we get 2 and 3, which are 4 and 6, Final Fantasy 4 and 6, amazing games. Great. So you get 1, then you get 2 on the Super Nintendo, then you get 3 on the PlayStation. And then you look at the Japanese side of things where you had Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 on the NES, 4, 5, and 6 on the Super Nintendo, and then 7, 8, and 9 on the PlayStation. Ooh, I love that. How 3, 3, 3, so good. They know what they're doing over there in Japan. That's why and we missed out on so much. But for me to pick one Final Fantasy, it's almost as hard as picking between Suikoden 1 and 2. I mean, I love, a lot of people are like, oh, you're not a real Final Fantasy fan unless your favorite one is 6 or 4. 2 and 3 over here on Super Nintendo. If the Super Nintendo ones aren't your favorite, you're not a real Final Fantasy fan. I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I love the 2D-based games, but they weren't ones that I owned on the Super Nintendo growing up. And they were games that I revisited when the re-releases happened on the PlayStation 1, where they released Final Fantasy Anthology, which released 5 and 6. 5 for the first time in America on the original PlayStation as like a remaster of a port of the Super Nintendo. It wasn't really a remaster. And I fell in love with Final Fantasy 5. Again, not everybody likes 5. Most people would say 6 or 4, the pinnacle of Super Nintendo Final Fantasy. I just really like 5. It had one of the best job class systems. Juicy. But like pre-3D, Final Fantasy 5, by far my favorite. And then after that, the between 7, 8, and 9, it's so difficult because I've spent hundreds of hours in 7, hundreds of hours in 8, and hundreds of hours in 9. But I'd probably have to hit 9 because 9 harkened back to the old school style. You had black mages. It had this medieval fantasy setting. And at the time, if you remember, in my circles at the time, Final Fantasy 9 was not beloved like 7 and 8 were. 9 was seen as like, I didn't really like 9, because it went back to the old school style. It wasn't this modern world like 7 and 8 were, where people were like humans and, there were dragons, but there weren't like dragons like this medieval fantasy style, which 9 had. I don't know. But 9 definitely, when it comes to 3D, my favorite Final Fantasy. So between 9 and 5, very similar to Suikoden 1 and 2. I'd probably give it to 9, though. I'd probably give it to 9, maybe. I don't know. Because VV, I mean, come on.
Right?
Yeah, I'm wearing it. It's basically what he is, right here. Black mage, in your face. So Final Fantasy 9, and then Suikoden 1 or 2, probably my top. Yours, a mobile game, and Witcher 3. But that's okay. But I think right there is probably a time for a game break. All right, we are back. We've got, for this game break, some final pieces of fan mail, because as I said at the beginning of the show, we're going to be sort of a hiatus situation. Season 2 of Digitally Distracted? I don't know. I don't know what that's going to be. Don't get scared yet. We still have one more episode. We're going to be finishing out with episode 20. That's a nice round number. Sort of finish up what we'll call season 1, the start of what Digitally Distracted is and was. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But for now, we're going to look at some leftover items that have been sent in that I've really been excited to open up. I like to open up things live with Gerald. And here we go. We got this to Game Dave in the P.O. Box from John Hicks again, who sent us the Shanghai poster, little Jackie and Owen Wilson. So my assumption, based on his
previous
access to posters,
right,
must be something in here poster related, or he's trying to really throw us off the scent.
It's possible
with this packaging. It's just some pencils or something, if I can get into it. It's a poster. I wasn't wrong. I'm not crazy.
Nope.
Okay. You want to
Yeah, I can.
pull the old tube? Yeah, boy. All right, what do we got? Oh, no. So I only can see this, and I already know, I think, what it is. Do you know what this is?
Maybe.
So I swear to you, Gerald saw it. I literally just cut the tape off.
It's true.
Just cut the tape off. I've not opened this prior. Just seeing that, I believe this is a poster for the original Dungeons and Dragons movie.
That's what I was going to guess.
Which, oh man, it's so bad, but I still loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotta be, right? Yeah, it's totally Jeremy Irons.
Yep.
Oh, Marlon Wayans. Oh, Marlon Wayans. Man, wait a second. Is my brain working?
No, your brain is working, or both of our brains are.
Okay, it's double-sided. I was like, why is it backwards?
Yeah, kind of threw me off, too.
There it is. Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, there's a note.
Oh, yeah, let's get that. So, Dungeons and Dragons poster. Thank you, John. I actually really loved this movie when I was younger. Big fan. I see. It's just so ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous movie. Now, they made another one.
Yeah.
And I never saw that one, but I heard it was a little more to the source material. It didn't have the sort of goofiness of the original. Let's see what we got. Hey, I really enjoyed seeing you guys open the Shanghai Noon poster. My friend Justin and I got a good laugh out of seeing you guys get it. We also enjoyed the episode very much. Copyright, public domain, and the ethics regarding both is not an easy topic. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Anywho, I really felt like Gerald should have gotten a poster too. I have no idea what happened, but I did find a poster that's kind of funny. It's not in the best shape. It looks good to me. But I'd rather see you guys get a kick out of seeing it than let it sit in some dark corner of my garage. Enjoy, fellas. This one's for Mr. Gerald. Thanks for the episodes, John, the social lizard. If possible, could you guys give a shout out to Justin Shelton? That would be great. Shout out to Justin
Absolutely,
Shelton.
Justin.
Glad you guys both enjoy the show. You and Justin. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that, man.
So I must hand over.
Look at that.
Your beautiful poster. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, this is really cool.
He's gonna hang it up in his bathroom.
Yeah.
Get it framed, so no water damage, no moisture damage.
Gotta protect it.
Now that's not it. That's not it.
What?
We got another piece of fan mail that needs to be opened. Now this one, I've sort of preempted this one. Normally I don't do this, but I had to make sure everything was okay because this came all the way from the UK. So there's a bit of a travel on this one. And Gerald has not seen it.
I haven't seen any of these.
No. So this will be a super surprise for Gerald. I mean, this is pretty cool. A ream of Xerox performance laser paper.
Wow.
No.
Look at that box.
Any ideas? Any predictions what this might be?
I do want to read the newspaper, though.
Yes. Let's do the crossword. Oh, good. He left it for us.
I have no idea.
They're heavy. Very heavy. Very, very heavy. Well, for me, they're heavy. Weak forearms. Are you ready for this? This is so perfect.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Talking about our talking about our favorite video games.
Wow.
Yep. Take these little stickies off here.
Man, that is cool.
There you go. Final Fantasy VII.
Man, that is nice.
I know, right? How awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. The Witcher 3.
Yes.
It's like he knew.
Thank you.
Even though I should have said 7 now instead of 9. But yeah, I believe he custom made these.
Wow.
These were custom made.
That's some good work.
Yeah, awesome.
That's some good work.
Definitely gotta get these bad boys hung up.
Oh, absolutely.
That's super cool.
That's so cool.
I know, right?
Man.
So good. Whoo boy. So first we have congratulations on the baby. So if you didn't know, I birthed a child. I was the junior. I was the first one. First male to ever poop out a baby. But please accept these small gifts for you and Gerald. The white one is for you, and the black one is for Gerald. The Witcher 3 and Final Fantasy VII, which I love Final Fantasy VII. When I hit 7,777 subscribers, I actually did a special video about the Lucky Sevens trick in Final Fantasy VII, which is a very fun trick where you basically attack and keep doing 7,777 damage until the enemy dies, if you can pull off the trick. It's very cool. If you haven't seen that episode, check it out. These were very difficult to make as they are made from 6mm thick, low iron, crystal clear glass with radius corners and polished all round. The glass was then toughened to make it stronger. The lettering was done in liquid silver, which looks like mirror lettering, and the rest in special glass paint. These are very expensive, bespoke, and one of a kind. Man. I really do hope you like them. Yes, this is my way of paying you for agreeing to review or shout out my game, I hope. Please. Sure, no problem. If possible, I'd like you to advertise my mobile phone game on your channel. See, transparency. But he did email. He's like, I'm going to send you these either way.
Yeah.
If you'd shout out my game, it'd be great.
Listen, you know how I feel about mobile games, so I'm going to check it out.
This was not going to be what you're expecting. I will say that.
Okay, fair enough.
It's called... Kids, leave the room. It's called Try It On. It is available for free to download on the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. I do not expect my game to make me a millionaire or anything like that, but of course, if it did make me any money, that would be great, but I won't hold my breath. The game is aimed towards teenagers and adults to help educate and protect them from... What do you think?
Try it on?
I think you know. I think you have an idea. STIs. Little,
That's
transmitted infection.
Listen.
Hey, the real world.
The real world, it's got an educational purpose.
Yeah.
I'm gonna download it.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna download it. Try it on.
That's right. And it says, and if I can help even just one man or woman protect themselves, just one, then this arduous development journey would have been worth it. I know you're a teacher, so perhaps you might even be able to recommend it to some of your colleagues to use as a fun way of learning. Not in the elementary school, but definitely in the high school for sure. If you search on the Google Play or the Apple App Store, it should show up. Try it on. It's AIIT is the company, and as mentioned, the app is called Try It On. So if you want to check it out, try it on. And you got a little logo of what appears to be a little protecty boy. We call those protecty boys around my house, which was not utilized in the creation of my son.
No.
Surprise. First of all, let me say a big thank you for everything you have done for me as a passionate fan of computer and video games. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed your content over the past 3 years. You're one of the YouTubers I watch the most and always check your videos every week to see if you have uploaded anything new, and I especially look forward to your gaming chats with Gerald. I know you get a few negative comments from people who say you don't cover enough stuff, especially Sega-related games, but I think what you do cover is fantastic. I love your PS1 Classic video, and I've watched it 3 times now, but my goodness, the comment section has not been kind to you in that video. It's true. When things go mainstream, people have a lot to say. I thought it was great, and I could not help but laugh when you mentioned America. Imagine having all of your games as slow PAL versions, and that is what I mentioned a thing about PAL. I and gamers in Europe have had to deal with for so many years. It sucks, but at least it's better now with the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, because they released a singular version of the PlayStation Classic for both America and Europe, which means some of the games are PAL versions, which run at 50 hertz, whereas ours run at 60 hertz, so they run slower and they stutter. Why not just, come on, Sony, make 2? Crazy. And see, he's from there, and he's on my side. Don't hate me in the comments over there. I think a lot of people appreciate you have a full-time job, and I myself have a work day, which is from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, plus I do overtime here and there. Oh, my goodness, yes, it's intense. I'm a father, and I have 2 little girls. I'm a husband, plus I have 2 stepsons I support as well. And I work as I battle through London traffic and go home to my wife and help out with the 4 kids, cooking and cleaning, and I do not have time to research anything gaming-related or even watch TV. I try to squeeze your videos in when I'm having lunch at work or at bedtime when all the kids are finally asleep, and I grab 10 to 30 minutes to watch videos on my phone. It's hard enough to make videos working full-time. But yeah, no, it's awesome. I actually started gaming on an Atari 800 XL, which is when I started to learn to program. I was 5 years old when I wrote my first video game.
Wow,
that's awesome. In any case, thanks for everything. Hope you like the gifts. One more thing. Gerald, how could you put all your games in a shoebox?
Yeah.
All the best. Take care. Whew. Well, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we better get back to talk about favorite video games. So after that very extensive game break, we got a little bit of time left to talk about some games, and you were starting to get into the more modern stuff. So I want to talk about a PS3 game that I think was criminally unplayed and it no longer exists, really. And that's Blur. So I really like kart racers. Hence Super Mario Kart. I'm a big fan of Chocobo Racing, which is a Final Fantasy kart-based racer.
Yeah, you love that game.
And what we know was so cool about Chocobo Racing is it was very kiddie feeling, but it wasn't an easy game. And if you really mastered it, at the end of each story mode playthrough, you would get the chance to create your own racer and give them stats, and then you could race with those racers, and you could use the different skins and stuff, which was kind of cool. But Blur kind of blurred the lines between doing a kart racer and a realistic sort of racer. So there were cars that were real cars in the game. It had crashing physics, which a lot of times, Gran Turismo doesn't show any sort of damage, things like that, which bothers me. I like to see the smashage. But you could also pick up power-ups. So it also had that aspect. So it had the kart racer sort of power-ups, but it had real cars. The graphics were really good. PlayStation 3. I think it might have been on the Xbox 360 as well. But, the racing servers shut down, and we've not received any more. I would have loved a sequel to Blur. Love that game. Hidden gem on the PS3, but you can't really play it the way that you would have now that the servers are down. And that's one of the biggest issues with these games that have modes that rely so heavily on the multiplayer. Once those servers are, who's going to keep the servers up?
Right.
Nobody. After a while. And I know I just got an email or a notification about some PSVR games, I believe. Drive Club VR.
Really?
Drive Club VR, the servers for that are going to drop off soon.
Wow.
You'll still be able to play it, but it'll have to be the single player modes.
Right.
So no more Drive Club VR online after a certain date.
Wow.
I don't know if it's already passed or not. Maybe when this video comes out, it may have already passed. That's messed up.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
That's again, that's one of your greatest fears.
Yeah, and that's the issue with games having, these online modes and also having servers that have to be maintained. And I totally get it because they have to be paid for and it costs money to run servers. Every game isn't run off the same server necessarily.
Right.
So they have to drop it out. It's just a shame because I haven't gotten a lot of time with Drive Club VR. It'd be cool to go online and play with people. I prefer single player anyway, but that's the kind of game like racing online. It makes sense, especially with other VR drivers. Right. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that that's happening. And Blur, same thing. The servers are gone. It's a PS3 game. Old news now. Mm-hmm. Whereas the old non-internet based games that had split screen multiplayer, you can still play them.
Yeah.
You still go back and play those games. You just have to do it with people in the room, which
that's my preference, honestly.
Yeah. At least it maintains all the aspects of the game. So nothing in the game can ever become broken because of the internet.
I wish there were more couch co-op games.
Yeah. And I think that's something the Switch is trying to do, maybe. I don't know if people see the value, or developers see the value as much.
In retrospect, I almost wish, I'm glad I supported the VR, purchasing that hardware. But part of me wishes maybe I would have gotten a Switch instead.
Maybe. But here's the good thing, though. You buying it clearly is the reason that the PS5 will officially be backwards compatible with PSVR.
Oh, nice.
And all PS4 games, supposedly. It'll be
okay, so now I feel better then.
So it's going to stick around. I'm still holding out that they're going to make an updated headset at some point, a PSVR 2.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they will.
But the fact that PSVR current will be backwards compatible with the PS5 is major. We're not going to see it this year. We'll probably see it in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exciting. That means that PlayStation sees VR as a viable thing. So the niche community, us,
right?
It's such a small community.
It is
in the grand schemes. We sold millions and millions of headsets, but that's not in the grand scheme of things enough to push it as the only thing you want to play.
Right.
And that's sort of the problem. And you see it even in, when people post videos about VR, they don't do as well. Unless you have a VR dedicated channel, that's all you talk about, and you've reached into every nook and cranny of the communities that play VR, videos don't do super well. Johnny from Happy Console Gamer, he and I have talked about VR a lot. He loves VR, just like we do. Mm-hmm. And he kind of had to stop talking about it because people aren't watching those videos about VR. And he reviewed a ton of VR games. And, I did my VR series. There's more VR games I'm going to review. I'm going to look at them anyway. Despite the view counts, I still want to talk about them and share them. It's because you can't see it. You have to experience it to really get it.
Yeah.
My brother finally tried it.
Did he?
He finally tried it recently. And he didn't really want to. And I was like, dude, come over. Next time you come over, try PSVR. He's like, it just seems like a gimmicky thing. Just look at the screen. It's like, no, you try it. Put him in the game. He was like, oh my God.
Right?
He had no idea.
What'd you put him in?
I put him in, I believe he did Shooty Fruity was the first one because it's just such an easy one to get into. I didn't put him in any horror games yet, but I mean, he's a horror fan. So.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he didn't realize. He was like, I didn't realize how cool it was.
Oh my gosh. The potential is there. Just, I mean, I feel like the Batman one is really kind of just a proof in concept.
Yeah. I mean, it was a launch title.
Yeah. But that just shows you what it's capable of.
Yeah, because even that game, I mean, you could get 10 hours of gameplay out of that.
You feel like you're in the comic. It's amazing.
Yeah, and what's great about that is that it's not an action game. So there's a lot of detective work going on. Yeah, you throw in some batarangs.
Yeah.
It's not really... It doesn't really work in VR, but the detective side of Batman is perfect for VR. Scanning and looking through things. Now, room scale VR on the PC, where you can actually move around and have the problem is people don't have the space to set up a padded, dedicated room.
Right.
And that's where, for VR to get better, now we're talking about VR. For VR to get better, you got to have gloves that are fully interactive. And if they make something that's across the board consistent, that works for everybody, that's just a glove that you wear that can have haptic feedback and you can completely manipulate fingers, that's when POV games are going to be perfect, good to go. As soon as you get that glove situation going on. And then the other aspect, room scale, and figuring out how can you move around in a game and it feel natural. Because when you're not, locomotion is okay, like whipping your arms back and forth to move works, but it doesn't feel natural.
No.
It feels better than maybe just pushing a joystick and standing or sitting.
Right.
But if they can figure out a way to make walking in a game and moving and without teleporting I think is the holdback, because teleporting bothers me.
It bothers me too
in games, but you have to. Skyrim, you kind of got to teleport, right? Or you have to use a DualShock, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you do DualShock or teleporting?
I did both.
Yeah, because the fun of doing a game like Skyrim in VR would be using the motion control and casting a spell, pulling back and shooting an arrow.
Right.
And then it's like, but motion, to move yourself, it's easier to just use a DualShock.
I think
and then it's like you're just playing the game.
What I settled on was the DualShock, because you're moving 100% of the time, but you're not fighting 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's
as much fun as it was to kind of shoot, pull that bow back and do the whole slashing. I don't want the DualShock.
Those are the two things. People say, when the headset gets smaller, it'll be easier. You know what? I don't think the headset size is the issue.
No. Because when you're in it, you don't
think about it.
No.
Yeah. So I think gloves and then a way to track movement in a way that allows you to continue to use motion controls.
But that's good news about the PS5.
Yeah. It's going to be supported, and because VR stuff could be our favorite games in the future.
Oh yeah.
If they continued with it, but. Blur was really like the only new game that really kind of hit it for me that I had to talk about. A lot of my favorites are old school because I've had hours and hours of time because I was able to play more games back then. I was able to spend 100 hours playing Final Fantasy IX or Suikoden when I was younger. It's hard to sit down and play a game for 100 hours. The only game I've done that with recently are games, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. I put over 100 hours in somehow. Because you know why? Because I had a baby and I was stuck in the hospital. And Octopath Traveler, which I haven't streamed it in a while. Finally played off stream. I put 100 hours in that game, and I love that game. It's so old school. And everybody's like, it's so grindy, it's repetitive. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I get that.
So good. One more I want to talk about on my favorites. People are probably like, Dave, you haven't said Chrono Trigger. You talk about Super Nintendo games and only liking the go-tos. Why haven't you talked about Chrono Trigger? Because I like Chrono Cross better. And there's going to get hate for that. There's going to be some hate. Chrono Cross is one of my favorite PlayStation games of all time. One of my favorite RPGs. Way above Chrono Trigger for me. Love it. Love Chrono Cross. Sorry. So many characters in that game. Classic JRPG. I mean, I could almost play that over a Final Fantasy game at times. I love Chrono Cross so much. So there you go.
Yeah, that's
good stuff. Now we're running out of time. So any other faves you want to talk about before we kind of close things up here?
I just
I could keep going. There's so many.
I just thought of one just kind of last minute. you know, I have to give some love to Darkest Dungeon. It's a genre, you know, it's the theme that I really love.
Okay, yeah, I know
and
Darkest Dungeon.
It's repetitive, but man, I
Is that
love
sort
that
of a
game.
storybook style?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make
And
sure I
it's
was
kind
thinking.
of got that Lovecraftian theme.
Yep. There was I took a look at that and reviewed it on the Switch. Not on my channel, but I looked at it on the Switch version.
It's really good. So well done. The narrator,
it's very much a dungeon crawler.
Yes.
And you're just trying to get as far as you can.
Yes. But it's one of those games where it's, you know,
such a unique style. At first, I didn't like it because it felt like it was almost like a very well done Flash game.
Right.
But then you get into it and you realize it's more than that.
Yeah.
Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, it's a cool game. Mm-hmm. Little hard, very horrific style.
And I think that's one of the things that I love about it. It is
definitely dark.
So good. It really is.
That's a dark game. Yeah, Darkest Dungeon. What a good one to end on. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Darkest Dungeon. Let us know your favorite games in the comments section. We'll be watching there because I always check our comments for some Q&A related things.
Yeah.
I've only got 2 quickies because we got to close out this episode, but this one's from Richard King on the Emulation and ROMs episode. And he said, and Gerald was never heard from again. If you need a new co-host, I'm available. Yeah, we'll see. That's the real reason the season's over. And then this one from Patrick Waffles 7. Game Dave, not my favorite system either, but this looks nostalgia-inducing. Streets of Rage 4. So he showed me Streets of Rage 4. And then side question for Digitally Distracted. I need to know what y'all's top fantasy RPGs and on what console they are. So, of course, already went over that. He put hashtag FF7, hashtag FF9. So Final Fantasy 9, Chrono Cross, Suikoden 1 and 2.
Witcher 3. Yeah.
I also really like Guardians Crusade, which is not talked about much. You're this little, it's very cutesy looking, but it's pretty deep. You're this little blue knight, very cartoony, and you have this little pink baby creature. And then much later, spoilers, you find out he's a powerful dragon. But really, he's kind of like with you. It's almost sort of Pokemon style. It has these, man, what a good game. But that'll be a review. I'm going to review that game. I'm going to review the hell out of that game. Excuse my mouth. Excuse my language, but I'm going to review the hell out of it. So that's good. That's good. That's going to do it for our Q&A.
Wow.
Now, I want to say, not our typical episode ending. Thank you so much for watching and getting digitally distracted with Gerald and I. Again, there's going to be one more episode. Episode 20 will be coming out next, shortly, hopefully. And, obviously we have the P.O. Box, and we are so thankful for everything you've sent out.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Just keep in mind that if you're planning to send anything out, maybe wait. Because, I'd feel really terrible if things were sent and we weren't able to show them on the show. So, message me beforehand, maybe. Because we want to make sure we are able to show everything before we close out Digitally Distracted. So keep that in mind. But until next time, I'm Game Dave.
I'm Gerald.
Thanks for getting digitally distracted with us.